Have you ever noticed that some of the kindest people you've ever met are also some of the most tired? The ones who always show up, always smile, always say yes when you ask for help. But if you look closely, if you really pay attention, you can see it. The exhaustion in their eyes, the heaviness behind the warmth, the quiet strain beneath the politeness. We like to imagine kindness as something pure and uncomplicated. We tell children to be kind. We admire kindness in leaders. We measure our humanity by how much compassion we can extend. But kindness, like everything in this world, has a shadow. And when we ignore that shadow, when we pretend it doesn't exist, kindness can turn into something destructive. It often starts small. A child learns that being agreeable earns them love. When they put their own needs aside to make others comfortable, they get rewarded smiles, praise, affection they don't always receive otherwise. Over time, that lesson sinks deep into the nervous system. Kindness becomes survival. And the older they get, the harder it becomes to tell the difference between who they are and what others expect them to be. They become the reliable one, the good person, the friend who never complains, the one who carries everyone else's emotions like it's their job. But here's the truth. When kindness is driven by fear of rejection, fear of being seen as selfish, fear of losing love, it stops being pure kindness. It becomes a mask. And masks, when worn too long, start to suffocate the person beneath them. Think about the endlessly kind people in your life. They'll listen to your problems for hours. They'll help you move. They'll lend money they don't have. They'll sacrifice rest just to make sure you're okay. At first, it looks admirable, even saintly. But if you've ever lived that role, you know what's happening underneath. Behind every act of self-sacrifice, there's often a quiet resentment. A small voice that whispers, "What about me?" But that voice gets silenced. Psychologists call one part of this compassion fatigue, the burnout that happens when someone gives so much care and empathy that they eventually run dry. We see it in healthcare workers, teachers, caregivers, but it doesn't stay inside professions. Everyday kind souls can experience it too, especially the ones who learned early that being loved meant being useful. Eventually, the gardener collapses and the whole garden withers with them. And here's the unsettling part. Sometimes kindness becomes a weapon without you even realizing it. When you're known as the kind one, people start to expect it. They rely on it. And your kindness teaches them, subtly, that your needs are negotiable. The kinder you become, the more invisible you feel. And invisibility isn't peace. It's loneliness dressed up as politeness. None of this means kindness is bad. Genuine kindness is one of the most beautiful forces in the world. But there's a difference between kindness that flows from abundance and kindness that bleeds from emptiness. One heals, the other corrodes. One comes from love, the other comes from fear. But the cost of endless kindness is enormous. Slowly, you lose sight of yourself. You become a stranger in your own skin. And this is where the monster within begins to grow, not because you're a bad person, but because suppressed emotions don't disappear. They collect in the shadows. They ferment. And eventually, they come out sideways. Maybe you snap at someone you love over something small. Maybe resentment leaks into passive-aggressive comments. Because every time you say yes when you mean no, every time you smile when you want to cry, every time you swallow your truth to keep someone else comfortable, you're not being kind. You're abandoning yourself. And abandonment always has consequences. So why do kind people struggle so much with boundaries? Many of us were taught that kindness equals worthiness. But true kindness does not erase the self. True kindness includes the self. If your kindness is costing you your mental health, your joy, your energy, then it isn't kindness anymore. It's self-neglect dressed as virtue. So how do you stay compassionate without turning into a martyr? How do you love people without abandoning yourself? It begins with one uncomfortable truth. Kindness must start with you. Like the airplane rule, put your oxygen mask on first before helping others. Not because others don't matter, but because if you collapse, you can't help anyone. This is where boundaries come in. And for kind people, boundaries can feel terrifying. But boundaries are not cruelty. Boundaries are honesty. A boundary says, this is what I can give, and this is what I can't. It says, my love is real, but it cannot exist if I'm empty. It says, I care enough to show my limits because without them, my care will rot into resentment. So practice the pause. When someone asks something of you, don't answer instantly. Breathe. Check in. Learn gentle no's. Reframe your worth. Your value isn't measured by how much you carry. You are worthy even when you rest, even when you say no, even when you're not useful to anyone. For many people, kindness has become a lifelong mask. But masks are heavy. The goal isn't to throw away kindness. The goal is to remove the mask so kindness can come from the real you. The you who can say yes and no with equal honesty. The you who can love without disappearing. Because the truth is, when you treat yourself with real kindness, your kindness toward others becomes stronger, not weaker. It comes from overflow, not depletion. It inspires instead of exhausts. It becomes a gift, not a transaction. So the next time someone tells you, you're so kind, pause and ask yourself, is this kindness coming from fear or freedom? Because the real monster within kind people isn't their anger, or their limits, or their boundaries. The real monster is self-neglect. And once you face it, once you set down the mask, your kindness doesn't disappear. It becomes sharper, healthier, more radiant. The kind of kindness that doesn't just keep everyone else alive, but keeps you alive too. That's the kind of kindness the world needs most. Not endless yes, not silent suffering, but the courage to love without losing yourself.